So sorry about that. We had a little issue, but we're back now. So a Toronto player is going to the free throw line, and I hear this loud scream. Now I don't know if you guys heard this the first time, but I hear this loud. I mean, it's an annoying scream. It's like I mean, it is. I'm checking, guys. I'm telling y'all, I was checking my house. I was checking my TV. I was checking everything that I can possibly check. But in the fourth quarter, I realized who it was coming from, and it was coming from DeMar Rose's daughter. She's about 9 years old now. I don't know. I've seen some great free throw shooters in my lifetime. I mean, it was some people that was just automatic. I mean, I remember Michael Cooper could shoot free throws so good. Magic Johnson could shoot. Larry Bird was unbelievable. I mean, you just knew these guys were going to make free throws. These days, I mean, you had Reggie Miller, who was a good free throw shooter, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. All these guys are good free throw shooters. But I'm going to tell y'all something. If they would have heard that scream, I guarantee, and Kobe Bryant also was a good free throw shooter. They would have heard that little girl scream, I guarantee you. They may have not missed, but it would have definitely got their attention. I mean, because it was so annoying. And all I could think about was this young girl is supporting her dad. She's trying to do whatever she could to help her dad advance to the next level to get him a big win because, you know, he's sitting in the house and he's talking about how bad he want to be Toronto and how he hope everybody plays well. He's going to give the best effort. And they end up beating Toronto. The point I'm trying to make is what would happen if everybody shows support like his daughter showed him support. James, there's a guy on my Facebook. So he follows me on Facebook. His name is James England. I always share his stuff. His name is James England. I share his stuff. He's a DJ. He comes out of Lafayette and Lake Charles area, and he really plays a lot of old school music, the music that I like, the music that has meaning. I don't feel like I'm in hell when I'm listening to it. I mean, so it's just the music that touches your soul. And he had been sharing my videos since I had maybe 10 followers. I mean, from day one, he kind of started sharing my videos. I share his videos, he shared my videos. We support each other. I mean, you think about the two guys that you're going to eventually see before this show is over. We support each other. I guarantee you, if any one of them started a fundraiser or anything like that, I would support it. And I wouldn't be supported because I consider them my friends and partners. I would support it because they're trying to do something that's important to them. I was watching the Pivot podcast. I don't know if you guys ever seen it. And Happy Dad doesn't sponsor me, but I just got to give a shout out to that show, The Pivot, because it's a really good podcast. But I was watching the show, The Pivot, and I'm looking at those guys, and they were supporting Angel Reese, and they were supporting Flo J, and I'm looking at how they truly, genuinely want to support each other. And all I could think about today was, what if all of us supported each other from every culture, doesn't matter where you're from, we just all had we felt like it was our responsibility to make another person's life better or make them happier. What kind of world would we live in then? I mean, because really, I'm from an era where if we seen an old elderly lady carrying a bag, man, we broke our neck to get over there to carry that bag for her. And I don't see that anymore. If we seen our elderly man struggling to pick something up, we went to help him. And we absolutely never, ever cursed or disrespected, even if we didn't know them. We supported them in anything they do. That's why we was in church. Because when your grandmother or your elderly say, come go to church with me, there's no way you can say no. I say all this to say this. I wish all of us get that feeling back in our gut where we feel like we can support someone just because it's something they love or something they want to do. You would be surprised how far a person can go when they know for a fact that you support them, or one person in this world supports them. Just one. It could be their spouse, their cousin, the grandma, doesn't matter. It could be their friend, it doesn't matter. One person say, I believe in you. I wish and I hope and pray that one day our society, our world get to be that way again. Because it's needed. It's needed now more than ever. And I said all that to say this. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Sports. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all something, man, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna try to hold myself when I say this. I'm getting ready to bring my boy Rod on, but let me say this before he get on. How many of y'all are fed up? How many of y'all are fed up with Zion Williamson? How many of y'all are fed up with it? When you look at the ability this young man have versus his discipline, it's sickening. It's just sickening. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all right now, so we can get it out the air now. So when somebody look at this 5 years from now, I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna put it on wax for you. This is me doing the NBA draft that year. This is me doing the lottery pick that year. I see the Pelicans win the lottery pick. I'm so happy for them. Right? And I also see that everybody's talking about Zion, 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 Zion. Well, I turned and I look at my wife and I said, they should take Ja Morant. Then my wife looks at me and says, what? I said, listen, baby, I'm telling you, the Pelicans to take Ja Morant. Baby, Zion is so much better. That has nothing to do with it. Ja Morant is good. And at that time in his life, he actually had people who was watching over him, making sure he do the right thing. So he would have came into that ready to play. I mean, I meant what I said. I wanted the Pelicans to trade that first, or at least take the lottery pick and pick Ja Morant instead of Zion. Everybody said I was crazy. I even posted it on my social media at that time. Everybody said I was crazy. But what do you think about it now? What do you think about my assessment of Zion at that point? With that being said, I want to bring my boy, my partner, my dog in here to help me talk about some of this stuff and get it off my chest. Y'all know who he is. He Rod Matthews. You don't really need no introduction.
What's
Rod,
up,
tell him
people?
what's up, man. What's going on?
Oh man, it's good. It's good.
Tell me what you thought about what I just said about Zion.
Man, unfortunately, I'm a Louisiana native and I would love to see the New Orleans Pelicans do good, but that was the absolute wrong franchise for him to come to. It's like having an alcoholic coming and living in a liquor distillery, right? This guy already had weight problems. And New Orleans is not the place to go if you got weight problems. I'm just sorry,
Absolutely not.
you know. It's like I know right now he feel like Pookie in New Jack City. Be like, the beignets be calling me. The beignets be calling me. But I can't fault them for making that pick. Even looking back historically, with the pick being made, when that guy's healthy, he is a top 10 player in the league. He definitely has an effect on games. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to stay healthy for more than 35 games in a season. That combination of power and torque and weight is just too much on the human body, man. And when he's on, but it doesn't take much for him to break down. So I don't know, man. It's kind of up in the air. And it didn't help matters much to see him out there windmill dunking and 360 and all that before the game and then go sit down on the bench.
Bro, listen to me. You're in our old school. Let's just call it what it is, right? I see you're dunking and you're dunking vertical. You're not even taking a step. You're just going straight up and dunk. I seen the game that you were injured in, right? Rod, here's my exact words when he pulled up. I said, you lazy. Look, I said some choice words that I'm not going to say on my show, but I said, this dude is freaking lazy and he has no discipline. Because as soon as he pulled up, I said, that is definitely some type of pull or groin or a hamstring before they even diagnosed him. If you played any kind of sports or watch sports, you know when somebody pull up with a hamstring or groin pull or something of that nature. Now, let me help you guys out that are watching us on this podcast or going to watch us later. I pulled hamstrings in my lifetime, many more, at least more than 5 times. Okay, I remember I had a gym teacher tell me one time I pulled a hamstring in gym class. I'll never forget this. And the gym teacher looked at me and said, "You know why you keep pulling hamstrings? Because you don't stretch. You don't stretch and you don't take care of your body. And that's why your body is telling you that you don't do enough for it, so it's going to continue to give you issues." Okay? You know me, I'm a young kid, right? I like I'm going to listen to a gym teacher. I ain't listening to you. But as I got older, I started to realize even when I stopped playing sports, if I go out and just play a pickup game in basketball, I would pull a hamstring. So guess what I started doing? I started stretching and I started working on that. And I started really putting attention. Matter of fact, I got to the point where I would stretch. I still to this day stretch at least an hour, at least once a week. I stretch every single day for 30 minutes, but one of those days I'm going to stretch for an hour. And the difference that it does in your body is ridiculous. Now, that's just a person who don't have anything to do with sports. You got millions. Your organization got millions. And you telling me that you can't get a trainer to get this kid in better condition. And the only way you wouldn't do that, Rod, is you put him on a pedestal. You're thinking about winning more than you're thinking about getting this dude right mentally and physically. And what do you, please disagree with me on that. I just need somebody to disagree because
I mean, I would like to think that the organization has dedicated every resource that made available to him to a personal chef or a trainer, somebody to hold his bag, whatever they need for him to deliver to keep him on the floor, right? Because if he's on the floor, they are a contender. As you saw those first 20 games or so when the season came about, they were in, top three seed the first 20, 25 games or so till Zion gets hurt. Game, 35 or so, he gets hurt.
Now here's my thing, Rod. Here's the biggest thing that I'm gonna say about that. Here's something that I want y'all to hear for all the people who are gonna listen to this, and I want my boy Rod to hear it too. There is no excuse. You need to stop putting that kid on a pedestal. You are crippling him. Somebody needs to say, "Hey, you can't convince me you're training or you are working out like you're supposed to when every single time you get hurt, you gain weight. Every time you get hurt, you gain weight. So how is that possible if you're truly working on your body? If you're going to your sessions, if you're doing the things that you're supposed to, how are you gaining weight?"
Po' boys, that's what he's working on.
That's what you're working on, them freaking po' boys. You're partying. I'm not gonna. You know what? I'm not here to say what this man doing in his personal life. I'm gonna say this: if from outside looking in, it looks like you're eating and you're drinking, folks. You can gain weight in more ways than just eating. You can gain tons of weight drinking alcohol. You can train tons of weight in drinking energy drinks. You can gain some weight, but whatever it is, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's whatever, you're gaining weight because you're not working on your body. Because if you were working on your body, you wouldn't gain any weight because you would say, "I can't eat that. I need to go on a diet." Or better yet, I need to watch what I eat. Not necessarily a diet, watch what I eat. How about we eat things that give me energy? How about I stop drinking a freaking beer every day? Tell me on that. Rod, tell me. If you had an investment, 18, $20 million, something like that, and they've been with you 4 years and they haven't played half of their games, they hadn't even reached half, they had about 30%. You telling me somebody ain't stepped in yet and said, "Dude, this ain't working"?
Yeah, that's
Please
a bad
tell me,
investment.
hey, this is a horrible investment. This guy is great, don't get me wrong, but we can't keep him on the court. Isn't
Just
it
paid him
time for
again too. Just paid him again.
just paid him again? That isn't it. Seems like it's somebody that should be sitting beside him saying, "Let me tell you something, dude. We ain't gonna keep giving you this money if you ain't gonna play for it." Do the Pelicans know something we don't? Why are they being so freaking patient? Because of his talent? Let me help you out. You know as well as I do, Rod. There's a lot of players out there that had a great talent. They had great talent that never got past their 5 years.
Yeah.
How long do the Pelicans have to continue to do this before they start looking like complete idiots?
Well, at least another 3 years.
So
Because
Pelicans
they paying
fans,
it. Because I think they got guaranteed contracts in the NBA, so they made that commitment already.
so look, I'm telling you something. You know, and the point is, I'm used to that. I'm used when I grew up. And the point is, you pay for it. That's what you got. When I went
Yeah.
and bought a 6 pack of beer, they didn't give me 5 beers. They gave me
Hey,
six.
and if you left out the store with them, that's on you.
It's on you. I guess the Pelicans organization said it's okay. We paid for a 6 pack and we got three beers. We okay with that if they okay with that. But until you keep
Maybe
Zion
those
on the
three
court.
beers are the best 3 beers you can ever drink. For the other 3, no, I don't know. But those 3, those are gonna be some of the best 3 beers you ever drank.
Right. That makes me so mad, bro, because I'm a fan of that kid. I've never not been a fan of him. I'm a fan of his ability. I've just never been a fan of his mentality. He always, every time he talked, I was like, do anybody else see me other than me that this kid is still very immature? Do anybody else see that other than me? Because
I mean,
okay,
his injury history goes back to high school, though. You know what I mean?
say that again.
His injury history goes back to high school. You know, it's consistent.
I mean, it's very frustrating. Look, for those of y'all who are joining us, or just joining us, or who will join us later, we had a little technical difficulties at the beginning. We're sorry about that, but what we just talked about was Zion Williamson. Now, let me tell you something. We're going to talk about Zion a little bit later in the show, too. We ain't through with Zion yet. But what we want to do now is we want to go through the play-in tournament. And let me tell y'all what happened. I don't make no excuses for nobody. I misjudged some teams. I misjudged some coaching of teams. But I went 1-3. I have no problem telling you guys that because I know it's going to be a time that I go undefeated. So I wanted to let you know that I'm not perfect. I messed up. For those who listen to me, I apologize. I'll get it right. But the Pelicans and the OKC Thunder, okay? Rod, I don't know how I missed that one, brother. I'm gonna need you to help me out with that. I don't. There is no way. If you sit 10 people down that knew basketball, there's no way in hell that 8 of them wouldn't have said the Pelicans was gonna beat OKC.
Man. Yeah, especially the way Valanciunas started out working them over, man. They had no answer whatsoever for Valanciunas.
None.
So I'm like, man, just keep going inside. The guy's killing them. And before we get too far in that, do they have any barbers in Oklahoma, man?
Any barbers?
Yeah, because did you see those haircuts on those guys? Yeah, did you see those haircuts on those kids from Oklahoma City?
Yeah, man, it looked bad. It looked rough.
Yeah, man. Yeah, what happened to the barbers? I'm sorry, I digress.
It did look rough, though. You're right.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I think them not going to Valanciunas, he got hurt a little bit in the fourth quarter, but I mean, they had no answer for him at all. I think he could have scored 40 points last night if they kept going inside to him.
And and that's funny because I'm sitting there looking at that. I'm gonna tell you where they lost me at, Rod. When I got on a production meeting call, I started to notice. I was like, okay, what you was doing to OKC when the game started. OKC was kind of starting to buy into it and realize that, hey, we ain't really got that much to play for anyway. So I saw the Pelicans being able to pull away, get a 16, 17-point lead, and just kind of coast the game. But once OKC came back from that 9-point lead, you can see their whole bench change. Like everything about the energy of the bench. You know that feeling I'm talking about when they go over there and they say, man, we can beat these guys. And from that moment on, it was a dogfight. The thing I'm trying to say is when you got a team, I don't care what quarter it is, when you got a team reeling, you keep them reeling.
Yeah.
And what was the missing ingredient? Let me go ahead and say it. You're going to hear it all the show. If your boy Zion, your big dollar man, is in that game, you blow OKC completely out of the gym.
Yeah.
It's not even close. That game is not even close. Who's going to match up with it? And then another thing that I noticed, little guard, got the Dort, I think is his name, Dort. The guard for OKC, right? I was saying to myself, I said, okay, he hit the first 8 points for OKC. And at that point, when somebody has hit 8 points on you in a quarter, at some point your coach gonna have to say, hey, we need to get this guy, we need to slow this guy down a little. And yet they keep letting him go wide open. And then Ingram, who are one of my favorite players, so everybody just back off Ingram because Ingram my dog. But you ain't got no weight in the middle of your chest. You need to put on some pounds in the middle of your chest, and don't tell me that you can't do it because you can. And he was in your chest, he was in your stomach, and it was frustrating you. You started to get to the point where you were selling for your pull-up jump shot, which is cool because you're a master at it. But am I wrong to say that? You can't let a defensive player do that to you. You got to go to the rim because that opens up your mid-range game because he's so afraid of you taking to that dude had no fear of you going to the rim, none whatsoever. And you think that didn't make a difference in the game? Oh, yes, it did. It did because it kept them close enough to you because you took their score and you didn't even double team him. You said, we're going to go at him with this guy. And that made the game totally different.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched a ton of OKC games this year. I don't even think people in Oklahoma watched a ton of OKC games this year. But I was so impressed with that kid, Josh Giddey, man. You know what the most impressive thing was when my man gave him a little elbow shove and he got up, he was ready, he was about it. He was like, hey, look, he was like, hey, I might be from Australia. I come from down under, and I mean business.
He came from down under.
Yeah, he came from down under. He meant business, brother.
He came from down under like, I ain't scared of none of y'all. I mean,
he was giving it to him. Yeah, I must hit this kid's 20 years old. I must get a triple-double in the playoffs, man.
If you think about it, how dangerous, because here's my thing, and I said this to my wife today. I said, because she watched the OKC game with me, and I was like, I'm telling you right now, if OKC gets in, Denver better be ready for a fight. The most dangerous thing about OKC is nobody expecting them to get in.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care. They look. I know you play sports. You know as well as I know. It's certain people you can square up against, and you're like, they can't do nothing with me. But the pressure is on you. The pressure is not on them. And before you know it, you're struggling with them, and you're like, why am I struggling with this dude? I know I'm better than him because they don't have no pressure on them. You do. And I'm gonna tell Denver fans, I got my boy, me and him going back and forth. We're talking, and hopefully we'll be able to get the collaboration together. Because he's a Denver Nugget fan, and he was saying on his podcast that nobody's respecting Denver. And I'm gonna say it just like, me, Rod. I ain't gonna hold anything back. Nobody ain't respecting Denver because Denver haven't gave him a reason to respect them.
Given it's earned, brother.
It's earned. I mean,
they haven't earned it at all.
You become a number one seed. Okay, so what that mean? I mean, any NBA player will tell you, I don't care what seed I am, because I know I can flip home field advantage with just beating you at home. I mean, it's just something that's I can flip it. So does it really matter? No, you can't get no respect for Denver. It's not saying they're a bad team because of God, they are not. But I believe, just like you believe, we believe they soft. So, but anyway, I digress. I get away from Denver. OKC will give Denver problems. I don't think they're gonna beat them, but they would definitely give them problems.
Man, their kids are young, and again, they're too inexperienced to know they're not supposed to lose.
That is so hard. God, for those of y'all who are watching the show or going to watch this show, that is so hard. When you're playing against competition that they don't really nobody expect anything from them, they hard to beat. I'm just telling you right here, you're gonna earn every freaking game. I guarantee you that you're gonna know you're in a fight.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the Pelicans, Rod, because they got eliminated, but they didn't have to be. Now, who's to say? I know a lot of people say, well, they always got next year. No, they don't. That's not how it works in sports. You have the team. Can you keep the team together? You have to make sure those contracts intact. You have to make sure nobody goes to free agent. It's a lot of things to keep a team together. And I know as we're saying it, there's not one teammate on New Orleans team that is not saying it too. They're just not saying it to the media or out loud. Is this dude gonna play? They're saying it. They're just not saying it in the public. Because if you're not even a man, even if you're my favorite teammate, Rod, I'm gonna say, man, look, what's up? Are you playing? Like us, dude, we really need you on that court. Hey man, I gotta get healthy. Well, man, stay out the daiquiri shop. I mean, I gotta get healthy. Well, man, bro, stop eating everywhere. Stop eating at 12 o'clock at night and then going to sleep and not working out the next day. If you really want to play basketball, man, do the right thing. Because that's the only way New Orleans is going to do anything. Other than that, they got a bad investment, and he's almost ready for me to call him a bust. I'm just telling y'all right now. But
when he's on the court, he produces. It'd be different if when he's out there, he's not producing. But when he's on the court, he's a handful. Only thing is keeping him on the court.
So I think it was Sean Payton said the best ability is availability.
Availability, you're right. That's the best ability is availability. That's so true.
I mean, and without that, other than that, he just hey, how many people in Chicago right now on a hard court playing on the concrete can ball out of control, but ain't gonna never get a shot like Zion.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people? You got a shot like that, you got to take advantage of it, not just for yourself. You got to take advantage of it for every young player out there watching, trying to get you where you at. That is your responsibility. That is why they call you a professional, and that's why you make a lot of freaking money.
A lot.
Now, with that being said, look, for those of y'all who are jumping on, we just got through talking about the New Orleans Pelicans and the OKC Thunder. We also talked about Zion. We're gonna move this on now because I want to get into some more games, and I can't wait to get to the grand finale, which is the Lakers. Oh, I got so much to say about that. But before I move to that game, we're gonna go to the Bulls and the Raptors, which is where I started my show at, talking about DeMar DeRozan and his daughter screaming this loud, high-pitched sound on this free throw line, just driving Toronto up the freaking wall because it had to be something because they missed a lot of free throws last night. If they would have made them free throws, it would have even been a close game. Rod, you was the first person. We're talking about the Bulls and the Raptors. You were the first person to say it. I mean, you was the first person to say, man, they missed a lot of free throws. Do you think she had something to do with it?
They have 3 players that missed 14 free throws who average a combined about 85%. So I would say yes. She definitely had an impact. They went 18 for 36, 50% from the free throw line.
Wow.
They're normally a pretty good shooting team.
And you know what? She was real strategic about it.
Absolutely.
She knew who to do it with. She knew. It's like she had did background on them.
Man, she did scouting about the scouting report and everything. Like she was
I
ready.
mean,
What really got me is they had like a dual screen. They had the guy at the free throw line, and then they had a picture of her on the monitor. And you just see she strategically, right when they got into that shooting rhythm, she goes, ah! And I'm like, oh my God. And it
and
worked.
you couldn't help but hear it though. You
You could
couldn't
hear it in
help
the
but
whole arena.
it's like the arena just got quiet for it. And I'm saying you're in Toronto, so Toronto, you're
In
like, okay,
Toronto.
you're in Toronto, so you know you're gonna be quiet when your guys at the free
Yeah.
throw line. So when
That's
she
right.
screams,
You hear it.
everybody gonna hear
And
it.
then you hear a kid scream, man. I don't care who it is. That kind of shakes you. You know what I mean?
It,
You
it
know,
always shakes you, no matter who it
hey,
is or who kid it is. If they
it's just a
scream loud
natural
enough,
instinct. Yeah, it's just a
that
natural
everybody's gonna
instinct.
turn around and be like, "What is that? Who is that? What's wrong with
Yeah.
them?" I mean, like,
Yeah. You hear like
it's
grown people, oh yeah, miss it, miss it. That's nothing. You know what I
they,
mean? They don't care
they don't
about
care
that.
about you.
Yeah.
Let
You
a
hear that
kid
scream,
scream.
they're like, oh my God, what?
Was
So
that my
that did
child? Is my child?
that had an
Is there?
impact, man. They can say what they
Yeah.
want to, but they need to give her some kind of ring or something.
If they go all the way, they definitely should give us a participation ring, huh? Uh,
Absolutely.
Watching that game was really sickening. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. Yes, Toronto. I'm gonna talk about Church. I'm gonna talk about Nick Church for a second. You had no adjustments for the adjustments. You came out. Your game plan was working to perfection. And then in the third quarter, they adjusted to your game plan, and you had no adjustment back. And here's the thing that got me, Rod. You know as well as I know when momentum switch. You know you can feel it. If you are any kind of fan of any sport, you do not have to be in that game to know that momentum has switched. When the momentum switched, he didn't even call timeout. He called timeout 3 minutes after momentum switched. The role had already, and I'm gonna tell you when it started switching. It started switching when Levine got hot. When Levine, I think it started with a Levine three, and then he hit the three. They called timeout. But when they came back, he started taking them to the goal.
Mm-hmm.
And when he started taking them to the goal, he did it like 3 times in a row. ISO, just isolate, take him to the goal, bam. And one time he got a 3-point play out of it.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I know you just called a timeout, but you need another one. They have adjusted to what you're doing to him, and you need to. It didn't take college experience. I mean, coaching experience, Rod, to see that they had made an adjustment that you was having problems with.
Yeah.
Did you see? Do you know what part I'm talking about when I say the momentum had switched when Levine started getting hot?
Yeah, when he came down, I think they got a steal, and he came down and hit a three off the, off the break. He just
I
took a
mean,
1-on-3 fast break off the, just pulled up a three and bam. I was like,
bam!
okay,
I mean, and you can see the crowd. It just took the air out the arena. You can just
yeah,
feel it sucking out the arena. I was like, yeah, you're scared. I said, you're scared because they're coming back and your coach is not doing absolutely nothing about it. Look, I see good coaches, and I'm going. And for the record, guys, I don't think Church is a bad coach at all. But I think he coached a bad game. Um, and the reason I'm picking on him is because okay, the games. I think they were up by still. They were up by 3, and he called timeout. And they came out of the timeout. Said, wait a minute, you came out of break and that's how y'all executed? Y'all executed like that. You're about to lose this game. Then the next thing I seen that was messed up was Pat Bev hit a three. He was wide open for the three. He had been missing all game. And I was like, do not leave Pat Bev. Pat Bev is that kind of player. He knows he's been around long enough to know if I can hit this three, we have momentum and we are rolling. He hits the three. On the next possession, he gets an offensive rebound. They end up replaying it, saying that it wasn't a foul. It was, and then they give the ball to Chicago, and then Levine hits. No, DeRozan hits the shot, and they take the lead. And I was like, "This game's over." I was like, "This game, man, you." It was 4 minutes, 3 minutes left in the game, and I was like, "They have took the momentum from you, and your coach is clueless on how to get it back." Could they have done anything different at that moment?
Um, man, it comes down to who wants it more, who's motivated more. And that's when you saw, at that point, Levine had been taken over, but you start to see at that point, DeMar DeRozan start to get hot. He started to assert himself. Matter of fact, Levine hit him with a nice pass, and he sliced through the lane. He dunked it. He started taking it to the rack at that point. So
Because the defense they was in couldn't stop them from taking it to the rack. That's the whole point. I mean,
at all,
I'm
you're
like,
right.
okay, hey, guys, y'all can't hold them one-on-one. Could you go to like a zone to maybe slow them down from going to the goal on you?
They couldn't stop him.
And he never adjusted. He just changed to his zone one time, okay, twice, just to show him we'll change to his zone on you. See if it confuses him. You didn't do anything. You just stayed in the man-to-man. I was like,
Especially when
oh,
Levine kept taking him to the hole. That's when you
just taking him
got
to
to
the
go
hole.
to a zone. Yeah. You got to switch up, do a zone or something because
And,
they couldn't
and,
stay in
and,
front of him.
the, and the thing about it is, I think Levine missed his last three shots. If Levine would have hit him, they would have beat him even worse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing I'm saying is Toronto gonna kick themselves in the butt, man, because they played an almost perfect game. They gonna kick themselves in the butt when they go back and look at that film. And if they coach is a good coach like I believe he is, he knows what I'm saying. I may not be saying using the terminology he would use, but he knows that I could have did something different in that game. I don't think he wants to be there anymore. That's just my thoughts. I don't think he want to coach Toronto anymore. I, I mean, come on, Rob. We've been around long enough to know that great coaches, when they feel like the organization is not doing what they're supposed to do, or they disagree with some of the moves that they made, they just kind of bow. I'm just gonna retire.
Well, he's got a resume now, so he has credibility now to go get another job. If he did leave, he wouldn't be unemployed very long.
Very long at all. And I think he really wants to leave. I don't care. I'm listening to the media. I don't listen to the media for everything, but it's just the way you can't fake excitement. When he had a good team, the way he act then and the way he act now is two different ways. Now, only the great ones can hide that. Can hide that they're really not happy. But I honestly think that he don't want to be there anymore. So all you Toronto fans out there, y'all should be sick to y'all stomach. Drake, you should be sick to your stomach right now. I mean, because you know what? After what I seen last night, I think you're gonna lose your coach. And even if you keep your coach, I still don't think you're going to the championship no time soon, because you're not even really close to the Miami Heat. I mean, you're like down there, like the Philadelphias and the Bostons and the Milwaukee's. You're not even close to those teams. So,
I don't think you can be a real contender with Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet as your two stars. You will not be a contender. I'm just keeping it real.
Two role players.
Yeah, exactly. Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, I don't see them winning you anything. Maybe
two role players.
Maybe if they're coming off the bench or they're your 2 or 3, your scrappy players or whatever, but your main guys, that ain't gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, and it just is what it is. Like it or not, that just ain't gonna happen. Yeah. Guys, listen, if you just joining, that's so funny. That's so true, dude. If you just joining in, we have covered now Zion Williamson, which we're going to go back to before the end of the show. We have covered the Pelicans and OKC, and we just covered the Chicago Bears. I'm sorry, not Chicago Bears, Chicago Bulls and the Toronto Raptors. My bad. Brain was trying to switch to football. It get confusing sometimes. Who we want to cover now is my favorite topic. It's the one. Well, I want to dance around the Hawks and Heat first. So that's for sure. I'm waiting on my producer. He's gonna put it up in a second. But I think we're getting ready to talk about the Hawks and the Heat. Um, and if we're not, then we're getting ready to talk about the Hawks and the Heat anyway, because I've already said it. And we ain't gonna stay on the Hawks and Heat long because I want to talk about the Lakers. But we're gonna talk about the Hawks and the Heat real quick. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I said it on one of my videos, Rod. I think it's time for Miami coach to move on. And not because of the loss. I think he I don't think he have the same impact on that team as he had before. I don't. After watching them lose to the Atlanta Hawks, you know as well as I know, man, the Atlanta Hawks is not better than Miami Heat. That was pure effort. That was pure. It wasn't even game planning. They just was beating Miami up on the boards. Like you're not gonna get any rebounds. We're not giving you shit.
Was he at the game?
Yeah, he was in the game. It's embarrassing to say that he was.
I couldn't tell. I thought he was, in the locker room or something. I couldn't tell him even being on the floor because he certainly didn't make an impact on the game.
No. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna tell y'all straight up, Bam Adebayo is a great player. I'm sorry, a good player, but I've never seen him as a great player. Because I judge great players by not what they do the whole game, what they do in the last 3 minutes when the game's on the line. That's how I judge great players, how they show up, whether they show up defensively, rebounds, scoring. I don't care. Do you show up or is your name being called in a good way? And when I watch Bam Adebayo, I'm telling you, it's almost like he's just I'm sorry, he just zones out.
Man.
Like, I'm in the game, but I'm not in the game. I mean, like, that's why I say, man, I think it's time for the Heat coach to move on because I think he's lost the team or either, I don't know what to say. It's just not, okay, it could be talent. I don't know, man. What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
I think is we all underrated the impact of Udonis Haslem on that team. Because when he's gone, they can't win no more.
and I'm sorry, what name did you just say?
Udonis Haslem.
Yes.
The oldest man in the NBA.
The oldest man in the NBA was a leader of that team.
That's right.
He was.
He played about 2 minutes a game.
2 minutes a game.
He had a big impact on that team.
But he was the glue.
Absolutely.
He was the one on the bench that's telling everybody what they're supposed to do and what they have to do to win the game.
And what's the difference? They got the same lineup this year, except for him, right?
Except for him.
So
now
you underrated that impact that he had on that team.
Do you think it kind of makes Golden State a little small by kicking Iguodala on that bench, huh?
Man, he is the same player as Udonis Haslem. Old and not getting in the game, but he keeps everybody in check. He's an extension of the coach, and he can relate to the players,
and they can relate to him. Absolutely. And they can relate to him. People underestimate Miami Heat, and a lot of teams underestimate influence, leadership on a team. Mm-hmm. It's if you look at championship runs in the NBA, I don't care how many years you want to go back, but if you look at championship runs and you pick teams who have won the NBA championship, I will guarantee you every single one of them had one person on that team that was a leader. Now, most people think that it was the superstar of the team, but sometimes it wasn't. I'm going to go all the way back because I can't think of his name, M.L. Carr.
Man, you know what? We are in lockstep. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm going back to the Celtics with M.L. Carr waving that towel, bro.
Waving that freaking towel.
He got like 3 minutes in the game, but you know what? He was every time Larry got out the court. Hey, come on, Larry! I know you the big. He pumping them up.
He was the inspirational leadership on the team, man. And that year Boston needed every bit of it because they really wasn't better than the Lakers that year. But because of M.L. Carr, they ended up winning the championship. So people underestimate the leadership of a basketball team or any team say it, but to say it all, every team needs it. But on a basketball court, it's really, really more impactful because you're sitting so close to each other, and everybody's in one spot. And when you're speaking and nobody else is talking, it's a big deal. So I feel bad for the Miami Heat. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna beat Chicago. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
Hmm.
Chicago feeling themselves right now. They don't
Yeah.
care where they play it. They just trying. And DeRozan said it too. DeRozan said, "Man, we just trying to get in the playoffs." So I think Miami is about to let they giving a hint on who I'm gonna predict, but they're about to. I think they're going to let their fans down. They're gonna go from the Eastern Conference Finals to not even making the playoffs. Don't act like it ain't never been done before because it has. So, okay.
Dallas, how they feel right now. At least they made it to the play-in. Dallas went from the conference finals to out of the not even made the play-in. Come on, bro. So hey, at least they made the play-in. They can take some solace in that.
Right, you're right. You said Dallas didn't even make the play. You know what? I'm sorry. I ain't giving Dallas and I ain't giving the Miami Heat no passes. I mean,
None
like,
whatsoever.
they get none. I don't care if you didn't make the play in. If you don't make the, at least make the play. You're right.
Play-in.
Not making the play in is just really bad.
Yeah.
But when you in the Miami case, if they're not going to make the playoffs, that's just bad, man. I don't
Yeah.
care what nobody say. That is probably going to get your coach fired. I can just tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Let me get like I didn't want to spend a lot of time with the Miami Heat. They just made me mad. I ain't picking them. I'm picking the Bulls. I'm just letting y'all know that. But anybody who's been watching us, man, look, we just finished talking about the Hawks and the Heat. We talked about the Pelicans and OKC. We have went through Zion Williams. We're getting ready to jump off into the Lakers and Timberwolves. Um, this is my favorite part of the show. My favorite part of the show. So we're gonna scream through this because we already been at this about an hour. So we're gonna scream through this. Well, let me get it off my chest right now because I know LeBron is your boy. Okay. Let me tell y'all something. The Lakers was the only game that I won on my picks. But I gotta admit that I sweated the whole the whole game. And the funny thing about it is my wife's like, well, I don't think you're gonna win this game. I said, no, the Lakers are not finna lose to freaking Timberwolves. I said LeBron will eventually be LeBron, and the rest is history. Anthony Davis stepped up, everybody stepped up. But here's my question, Rod. Should they have blew the Timberwolves out?
Oh, no question. No
I mean,
Gobert on the court. They should
they
have.
was missing
It should have been a lot easier than what it was.
at least 10 points.
Yeah.
At least 10 points.
I mean, I think they were favored by 8.5. You know, at the start of the game.
I couldn't believe that they didn't cover. It
Yeah.
made me want to. It made just want to look. It made me want to just punch the wall like the Timberwolves player did. Because like my wife, and then when they went in overtime after the Anthony Davis foul.
Oh man.
Let's just say at that point right there, I realized that I had to walk outside and calm down. You're a veteran freaking player. You know how this game works. You know damn well you got a 3-point lead, and you know the odds of him making that shot, trying to shoot the ball over your big 6'9" behind, is gonna be slim to freaking none. And you foul him? Oh,
that made no sense.
Oh, Rod, I can't tell you some of the words that I had to get. I had to look, dude. I had to straight up pray when I started watching that game. I had used my curse words up for the year in one doggone game. And let me help everybody out. No, I am not a Laker fan. I am an inspirational fan. The Lakers came from like 14 games down or something like that to actually make the 7th seed of the playoffs. It is every series they win from here. They have made almost history to come back from this far. So even if you're not a Lakers fan, you got to give them some props for that. I mean, you got to give them some props for that. Last word on the Lakers, because we got to move on. I ain't know I had talked. We've been talking for so long. Anyway, any last words on the Lakers?
Oh, well, you already know how I feel about LeBron. Even though I'm older than him, I'm his illegitimate child.
Typical. Look, figures. Figures.
So, if again, if we can get play like that out of AD, because he came to play, and Schroeder, oh man, that is Schroeder 2.0. He's certainly not the version of the Schroeder that was there originally. I'm glad we didn't get that version of Schroeder. But
right,
if he come with this version of Schroeder, man, did he give you some of this right here?
Yeah, I saw it. He gave some of the ice water.
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
Oh, hey, he gave some of the ice water. Look, I thought that was really, really cool to see that kid hit a shot like that. Yeah. And like I tell people, I'm not a fan. It's inspirational to me when I see stuff like that because my prediction is coming true. I said the Lakers would make the playoffs, and I also said that it would be really interesting if the Lakers actually won the whole damn thing. That would just blow everybody away. Oh, and I'm a Golden State fan. That would really make me sick to my stomach.
You already know my pick. I already picked to make the Western Conference Finals at least.
I know your pick.
Book it down, book
it. So with all that being said, guys, listen. Me, Rod, my producer, and I'm getting ready to bring my producer on. Me, Rod, and our producer, we have really, really been giving this a good effort. We see the growth in the show. We see people hanging around. We see people watching. We see people watching later. We see people coming. We see all these different things going on. What's up, Bert? We see all these different things going on. I haven't yet told you guys this, but we broadcast actually on Facebook, YouTube already. And our live show is starting to get a little attention because we get a lot of stuff back. Let me explain something to you guys. When we're talking about support, when we're talking about what we're asking for, when we're asking for donations. Okay, so one of my favorite podcasts is The Pivot. And I watch The Pivot for more than just the content. I watch The Pivot for the interactions that they have with the cameras. I've seen the type of cameras they have. I understand the type of cameras they have. I know what those cameras can do for visual. And we want this podcast to be not just online. We want to actually have people in the studio. That's why I say people, and I say this raw. I say this to people all the time. They just don't see the vision yet. But imagine me and Rod in a studio with the right cameras. Our guests are fans. We don't have the how do you say it, the people around us that are immediate superstars that's going to make your episode of your podcast just blow up. I mean, I don't know Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. I'm in the same city with Angel Reese and Flo J. I don't know them. I never met them. All these people are stars. It's easy to get that type of influence on your show when you're an influential person. We're just beginning. But one thing we can do, we can have the same type of visual, the same type of equipment, the same type of cameras, the same type of. We can have all that because our content is good, and it's just gonna get better and better and better and better. Why do I say that? 3, 4 cameras. We don't need but 2 because we have a great producer. And by having a great producer, we don't need but 2 cameras. We don't need now 1,000 different camera angles. We don't need all that. All we need is the right equipment. And every Thursday that I do this podcast, among other days, I'm going to ask for any kind of support that you can possibly give us. Any kind of support that you can possibly give us. $10, $20, anything. Because we're not going anywhere. We're serious about this. Last week, we had y'all laughing, telling y'all that I was going to go on the street corner and hold a sign. Let me tell you how serious I am about this. True story. I like to go back and forth to the library. I walk in the library. This just happened today. I walk in the I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, not 2 days ago. I'm sorry, my bad. I just walked in the library and a guy walks up to me and he said, "Man, you look familiar." And I was like, "Yeah, you probably know me from insurance or you probably know me from this." And he said, "No, no, 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 no. I don't know you from that. I don't know you from that." I go and I get what I'm looking for in the library and I come back through and the guy standing at the door and he looks at me and he's like, "Hey man, don't you do some kind of podcast?" And I was like, "Oh, you've seen our podcast?" Like that, and he said, "Yeah, you do a podcast, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "You kind of famous, ain't you?" But then, and I'm looking and I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm not famous." So actually, I think the guy's mocking me. I mean, so I'm kind of like, "Well, look, it was nice meeting you." This and then, no, 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 man, seriously, you do a podcast. You are famous. And he calls his friend over there. He's like, "Man, this dude is famous. He does a podcast." Now, the whole time I'm sitting there laughing because I'm thinking this dude is talking about Let's Talk Sports. This dude think that I'm on the pivot. this this dude think that I'm with Ryan Clark now. And I'm looking at him like, he tells me, he's like, "You used to play for LSU, right?"
He thought you were Ryan Clark.
I was like, "No, man, I've never played for LSU." "Man, look, you don't have to be modest with me, man. Just go ahead and tell me, bro. I mean, I'm just telling you, I watch our podcast all the time." And I'm like, no, 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 no. So I finally tell the guy, I show the guy who I am, and I show the guy on social media, and he's like, "Oh, you're not the guy I thought you was," and just walk away. So as he's walking away, Rod, I say, "Turn around." I said, "Hey, hold on. Listen, we're taking all donations because we're trying to get this camera."
Exactly. So you can see me clearer. So you can make sure I'm not Ryan Clark.
Y'all think I'm playing when I'm saying that we're gonna ask for donation, and we are really on a mission to get this freaking camera. Now, listen, you don't want to give us donations or send it to my Cash App. You don't have to. You can look right down in the thread. Facebook shows you the stars down there. Those stars down there, all you gotta do is just go give me as many stars as you want, whether it's $1 or $100. But the stars make the difference. So, with that being said, I'm gonna bring my producer on. Um, it's always entertaining because I know you want to say something about Zion. I know you got one thing you want to say about it. Hold on,
Yeah,
guys. He's on mute.
I ain't on here no more. Just like the music. What's happening then?
What's happening, Rabbit?
Man, I'm out here, you know what I'm saying? Trying to see what's up with these beignets, because them beignets be calling me, man. They just call me, man. Man, look.
Did you say, dude, you know that half of America don't know what beignets is, right?
Well, look. Come in order. We'll get you right, you know. Come on down there by the city. Yeah, I mean,
Come on down to the South. You know what the
yeah,
beignets
man.
are.
Yeah, man, we can show you what the beignets are and find out where you got your shoes at.
Well, look, what do you think about me and you had a conversation about Zion today? Tell everybody what you think about this,
Okay.
the Zion thing.
Okay. So first of all, I want to give flowers to Big Shot Brandon Ingram, to to Clutch McCollum, you know what I'm saying, to Trigger Trey. You know what I'm saying? Them boys balled out. They played from beginning to end to the wire, you know what I'm saying? I gotta give them their flyers. And I'm excited for Jose Alvarado to get back on the floor too, man. That's a little spark plug right there. You know what I'm saying? So I end up, scrolling on the timeline after the game or during the game. I don't remember, but I just remember scrolling on my timeline and I seen a comment from Zion talking about he physically is fine, but he's trying to get back to himself. And I'm sitting here like, man, I'm reading for this from the Onion, right? You know, it's got to be satire. This ain't no dumb shit like that. No, he
Right.
ain't say that. Nah, well, not on do or die day. I know. This guy didn't say no stupid flipping. He ain't got the audacity to say something like, "Oh, do or die day." And bruh, like, look. Okay, so granted, he ain't the only one to ever say some stupidness out of his mouth. I mean, Rod, your boy, Mr. James, has said some silliness early in his career as well. So I mean, I'm not want to put too much pressure on there, but bro, this goes right back to what we were saying last week, where I said, "Hey man, look, it always happens in that fourth quarter or in the third quarter." You know what I'm saying? When Bi is on the bench, you know, and the rest of the team, like it's like they mental just breaks down because they they have all the talent to compete with anybody in the league, but when it's go time, when it's clutch time, it fall apart. And this is like the epitome of what we were just talking about. Why would you say some silly like that on do or die day? Seriously.
So you're in front of the media and you're saying, I'm healthy. I'm healthy enough to play. You go there before the game and you're doing vertical dunks in front of everybody on do or die day when the team desperately needs you.
And then go back to the bench.
Can somebody please, what they always saying to me on Facebook, can somebody please make some sense out of that?
Please make some sense out of it, because they don't make no sense out of here. I mean,
How
bro,
about you, Rachel? How about you?
Kobe would never. Okay, like I just watched the clip of Kobe. Man, he was on the court in the middle of a play, jammed up his finger, had a real injury, went to the sideline to his court, uh, ripped his and fixed his finger real quick, and went in the game, right back in the same game. Would you say that?
Oh, in other words, so Kobe Bryant tear his Achilles,
His Achilles.
goes in the locker room, realizes nobody can shoot the free throws but him, and takes that long walk out of the locker room to the free throw line. Klay Thompson does the same thing.
Just last year or the year before.
We, how far do I have to go back? I mean, we're not gonna even talk about Willis Reed making his debut, running on the court with a damn near broken leg. Zion has a poor freaking hamstring that he has been nursing now for almost 2 months. He tells the whole world that he's healthy. He's dunking on the court, and his team is out there getting beat by a team that they should have killed. I don't know about y'all. That's like, look, I'm gonna steal something from my boy, one of my boy Rod saying. That's like, you know that you know that the girl that you was with was not being faithful to you, and you stayed with her. Like, so at that point, nobody feels sorry for you. I mean, so it is what it is. You have some hell of some point about Zion, man. He's right. You got to be mentally tough to know to say, you know what, wrap this freaking leg up, shoot some cortisone in my freaking leg, and I'm going on the court. We ain't losing tonight.
At the very least, don't say no stupid. Man, that was.
In other words, and just
Why
keep your
would you
doggone
say
mouth.
that?
If you're not gonna play, keep your doggone mouth shut.
One or the other. Either
and don't
you
be on the
good
court
enough to
doing
play
dunks.
or you hurt. I'm gonna talk about man physically, yo, fine, but mentally, man, come on. Yeah. Oh, throw you some big
Look,
hits or something, bro.
guys, I'll tell y'all something, and we're in this show. My son was a great athlete, right? And when he was coming up, I was in him because he could play football, he could play basketball, he could do all that. So one day we out there on the court, I fouled him real hard. He hits the concrete, he gets up, he falls back down. and he lays on the court, and he's about 13 years old, and it was a real hard foul, and he's laying on the court, and I come over there to him, and I said, "You all right?" He said, "No, I'm hurt." And I looked at him, I said, "Well, you hurt or you injured?" And he opens his eyes and he looks at me and said, "Well, what's the difference?" I said, "Well, if you're hurt, you can still play. If you're injured, I got to take you to the hospital." And I'll never forget the look on his face, because he had this look on his face like, "What?" I said, "It's real simple, son. If you can get up and you can walk and you can run, then you hurt. But if you're injured, I got to help you down the court, help you to the car, help you to the doctor's office. That means you're injured." So we have to ask ourselves this question: Zion, are you hurt or are you injured? Because you look like you was just hurt, and then you open your mouth and proved us all right. I mean, like, so, just proved us all right. We all was questioning, well, you really hurt that bad anyway. But then you just open mouth, insert foot. So, so with all that being said, thank you guys for another episode of Let's Talk Sports. Every episode we get on our belt, we just get better and better and better and better. Remember those stars. If you don't want to hit those stars, hit that cash out for me. We take all donations. We appreciate all support. Let's Talk Sports. We'll be back on again Saturday. But Saturday we're gonna turn the tables up, because it's gonna be playoff time. I got all my predictions just gonna be coming out Saturday. We're gonna see if I do a little bit better than what I just did. Either way it go, from myself, Rod, my producer Richard Rabbit. This is Let's Talk Sports. Peace. We out.